Dawson Rider review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Issue 3, or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Issue 3. There's a lot of numbers and a lot of titles. And I felt this was another strong issue in this series that I've really been enjoying. This is probably something I'll bring up later again in the review, and is something I've brought up before, and will probably bring up in future reviews, but the overall story is pretty basic. Like, when you look at the outline of the story, it's pretty much what you'd come to expect, but I think it's the way they fill that in. You know, they have this nice outline that's kind of cookie cutter, but it's the way they fill in the cookie that makes it good. That's a really weird way of putting it, but I think you know what I'm getting at. But I'll loop around to that at the end, where we left off with Shredder showing up, and as expected, again, talking about cookie cutter things, you know, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing, as you have Shredder working with the Rangers, as of course he wants to be the one to rule the Earth like all the other sickos, and these other sickos are on it right now, so he has to team up with the Rangers, of course creating an uneasy alliance, as expected. But it's great to have him in the mix, and it's kind of a nice change of pace from the last one. You know, you would either have to not have him in the issue at all, or have him like this, I guess, because I guess you could have him as a third X Factor, or a Dimension X Factor, but I don't know, it just works. You know, a lot of the stuff is cliche, but it works because it gives good dynamics for it. I didn't mind that at all. Meanwhile, the Rangers are depowered because Casey and Baxter cut them off effectively from their grid connection, and so it depowers the Rangers, of course, and then it depowers the shadow morphing for the Turtle Rangers. Now, obviously, it's a bigger deal for the Rangers because the Turtles fight normal as always, but, you know, obviously the Ranger powers give them a boost. It is just funny later when they're like, oh man, how do we fight without our powers? I'm like, dude, like, Turtles, you fight normal, like, your powers are your turtle. So they need to figure out a way around this, which is how we get to the Mutant Rangers, which is the big debut of this issue, is they're trying to figure out how to fight after this, and then they discover through some experimenting, Billy and Donnie, sort of combining the mutagen with like their connection to the grid and their coins, which results in the Mighty Mutant Power Rangers, you know, mutant forms based off of their dinosaur creatures, which look so awesome. I really wish this had been saved for a surprise. I suppose it's something you could infer, but like as with many of the debuts in this comic, it was shown in a press release, as they often do with comics. But regardless, they're really cool designs. I really hope that they do Lightning figures for these. I hope the Lightning Collection QC is under control by the time they would get to them, but I'm picturing them kind of the scale of the monster figures and with a level of detail, and they would look so awesome. Like, I almost want them more than like the Dimension X Rangers, but they look really cool. I think they're really well designed. I love the concept. Again, both with these and with the Turtle Rangers, it's definitely a fan servicey kind of fusion-y element, but at the same time, I think that they bring it up organically enough in the plot to where it works, and I really like it. Like, you just kind of have to acknowledge it's a good balance between storytelling and fan service. And there's some really fun, like, dialogue and beats within the fights, like Jason mentioning, like, I'm glad I didn't get tiny T-Rex arms, or Kimberly having a hard time flying and getting used to it. And then they mention, like, well, what are you turning into, Tommy? Like a dragon, a Godzilla? Does it even exist? And they kind of acknowledge that, and Tommy says, I don't even question the way the grid works anymore, which I think is a funny self-referential bit, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, first of all, they did cross over with actual Godzilla. That might be a different universe, but regardless, are you telling me in a universe where we have Mutant Turtles and Dimension X alien squids and Power Rangers are like, dude, dragons don't exist? Come on, son. Some good fun stuff, and I think that's some of the fun, like, smaller stuff that makes this crossover work. And the last one, of course, is the nice little dialogue and interactions, which they continue there. And then you have Splinter about to sort of help mentor the Rangers learn how to use these powers, which is really cool. So that was kind of the main, like, crux of the issue, was them being depowered and finding a new way to be powered through these mutant forms. There's also, of course, the reveal that Casey was, of course, working undercover. Because when you go with this story, you have one of two options, unless you decide to make the character full tilt evil, which, of course, they're not going to do with Casey Jones in a random crossover issue, is like, you know, under a spell, or, you know, pretending to be evil, which is of course what it ends up being, again, by the numbers, but it works for what they're doing. He effectively gives them the key to go to Dimension X to their base because they're currently invading, so while all their forces are busy, you know, doing invading stuff, they're going to go to the dimension. So it seems like the Mutant Rangers are going to be staying and protecting, while the Turtles and Shredder are heading off in Dimension X for, you know, the base. There's also this really funny and fun interaction between Rita, Krang, and Casey, where Casey's like, you guys, you're always trying to invade the same Earth. Like, aren't you get tired of invading Earth? Like, seriously, you've never been able to do it. you've been at it for like 30 years, why? And they say, you know, it's really just a pride thing at this point, which I just found to be funny. It was kind of a funny, you know, like meta commentary on the fact that, you know, they're always trying to do the same villain plots, especially like Power Rangers characters like Rita and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty fun. Just a fun, funny, self-referential dialogue. And also, I don't remember seeing them last time. I might have just not been paying attention, but you see Squat and Baboo in this, and this version of Baboo, unless it's meant to be another character, has a really cool design that I just really like. Also, another little side note, which was kind of fun, is you had April teaming up with Bulk and Skull a little bit, scouting around the city during the invasion, which was a fun little beat because, like, in the Boom Comics universe, Bulk and Skull have, like, their blog and stuff, and I think that's really fun. I don't know, just kind of a fun little mini thing to do with those characters and sort of lining up those interests. But it was overall another strong issue for me. I really enjoyed it. Again, the overall takeaway from this, honestly, both crossovers, is it's fairly straightforward. It's not anything revolutionary or different or unique in regards to the plot structure, but I don't necessarily need it to be, and I would rather it be something like this, where the basic outline of the plot is relatively simple, but the innards of it are enjoyable, rather than something absolutely nuts mess garbage, like a lot of the Toku crossovers, where the plot is, that was the plot. Like, that was it. I don't know. I hate those crossovers. Regardless, it's not about this. The point is I'd rather have it be basic than not make any sense and be too weird. If they ever do a third one, I'd like to maybe see them think outside the box a little bit more, and also please use the Season 3 suits, because, come on, it was ninjas. Like, it's right there. The point is I'm still really enjoying this series. A lot of people bring up how basic it is, and it's true, but I'm still really enjoying it, and I think it's because of the basicness of the plot that it works so well, and that everything feels like it fits, and even though you have some sort of fan servicey stuff, it all kind of gels together nicely, and it doesn't feel too messy, and I really do like that, and I like the character interactions, and I do like the way the mythologies weave together. Like, I've said this before, but it's actually kind of funny reading this and like seeing the different villains interact in the mythologies, and it feels sometimes less like hey, these two properties are crossing over, and more like a, you know, these actually fit in the same world. Like, I think that's actually kind of cool. So, strong issue. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I'm really looking forward to the rest and seeing how this all wraps up. Maybe hoping for a little bit of surprises of stuff they didn't announce in press releases. But how are you guys enjoying this so far now that we are basically at the halfway point? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.